I'm wilding. I had the mute on. Peace to everybody. Peace to the family. Peace to you and yours. Welcome to another episode of Sacrilegious Sundays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. And yeah, we are broadcasting from Zoom. You smell me? First and foremost, shout out to everybody in the building. Special shout out to everybody that joined us last night for the monumental demonstration, the lecture that we put down, me and Blue Pillar, Saints and Sinners. If anybody in the audience was part of that monumental event, please let me know in the chat room and whatnot. You know what I mean? Let me know in the chat room if you were in the building last night when we turned up. 6 hours. I don't know what it is, man. You know what I mean? I try my best to keep the my segment short. But yeah, six hours and change featuring me and Blue Pill last night. You feel me? It was definitely lit. Um, so much information was delivered, you know what I'm saying? How we sounding on the audio? Feel me? So much information was delivered, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, how we sound on the audio? Talk black to me. How we sound on the audio before I move forward? That part. We good on the audio? Okay. Excellent. Excellent. You know what I mean? Blessings. So yeah, man. Shout out to Blue Pill. If y'all didn't catch the Mineral Ministries, he laid that down earlier. Make sure y'all go and check that out. Pope Pablo. He definitely came through with a timely message and whatnot. Go ahead after this broadcast and click on that link. I believe it was live and whatnot. So shout out to Blue Pill, you know what I mean? And once again, like I said, shout out to everybody that was with us last night. The lecture it was fire, you know what I mean? It was 6 hours and change. It was filled up with information. Maybe on Monday, not tonight. Well, maybe tonight I'll go through some part. Who knows? Yeah, maybe tonight I'll share some clips and whatnot. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I'm talking about? You know? So yeah, man, we're gonna have an interesting conversation. Is it on Patreon? It's on Patreon for the Rainbow Opal members and up. You know what I mean? It's on Patreon for the Rainbow Opal members and up. Um, the replay is available for anybody that was in the building last night. Go to KTL University, check your email. You should have an invite and you'll be able to see the replay. You know what I'm saying? The replay was sent out. If you're a ticket holder, look for an email from KTL University. You good. We took care of y'all this afternoon. We sent out all of the links. You know, even if you haven't seen Sinners, you could still watch the lecture because the title of the lecture was Saint and Sinners. And we were just using parts of the movie to break down the information that we were delivering. And for the bonus, we were literally showing you clips of the movie. You feel me? We was literally showing you clips of the movie. And to be honest with you, go and watch the trailer. The trailer literally is giving you practically the fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like, if you watch the movie and then you go back and watch the trailer, you'll be like, well, goddamn it, they kind of put the whole movie in the trailer. So go and watch the trailer. And, you know, if you didn't watch it by now, I'm sure you know what the fuck is going on. Like, there's so many goddamn thought pieces online that if you didn't watch the lecture, all you got to do is watch the review of the movie. You literally will be watching the movie. Um, yeah, but it was a lot to cover. It was a lot to cover. It was a lot, you know what I mean? And we got more information, more research, more decoding, you feel me? More unpacking to do. So on May 31st, we're gonna have Dr. Wesley Muhammad as our special guest, and we're gonna do a lecture entitled The Hip Hop Conspiracy Theorem. Okay. And a theorem is a theory that has been proven to be fact. So we're not conspiracy theorists, we're conspiracy theorems, right? We have conspiracy theorems, conspiracies that came true. Okay. Conspiracies that came true. Um, the spiritual aspects of the movie, it was broken down by me and Blue all the way down to the twins, Elias and Elijah Moore, right? Their last names are Moore. So it's Smoke More and Stack More. You know what I mean? Smoke more and stack more. You niggas need to be stacking more. We all need to be stacking a little bit more. And for the smokers, you might have to smoke something. Um, But yeah, it was a beautiful demonstration. I'm gonna go through some slides tonight just to give y'all a little bit of insight as to what I was talking about. I don't have no issues with that. I will share that with the family. I will share my keynote and run through my slides. I had about 90 slides just to give y'all a little bit of insight as to what we was talking about for those who are not there. I hate leaving y'all out of these conversations because to be honest with you, we have great conversations on Melanin Mondays and but there's nothing that compares to when we're in lecture mode. Like there's nothing that fucks with us in lecture mode. When me and Blue get in lecture mode, you know, we really get in our scholarship. We really start to deep dive and peel things back. So I would want y'all to see us in that space. You feel me? I would definitely want my listeners, my KTLians, those of y'all that rock with us for the information to see us in our you know, to see us in our space. You feel me? You know what I mean? That's where we shine. Um, you said sinners is y'all ideas. Yeah. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. During the research for the lecture, I did the most deep diving that I probably did in a very long time. And I was watching a lot of Ryan Coogler, and the man he was delivering some real powerful insights. You know what I mean? First and foremost, I put it on record and I say it again. I just respect Ryan Coogler for the simple fact that he's a real naga. You know what I mean? I don't need to know anything about him. I just need to watch him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just some people that you could pay attention to and you could be like, that's a real ninja. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know him personally. I can't literally put myself out on a limb for him. I've done that for other people before, and that shit didn't work out. You know what I mean? I wound up having to retract the support that I be giving people because at the end of the day, you know, Hollywood is Hollywood. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is people that come out of these Hollywood spaces, you know, these celebrities and whatnot. No disrespect to them, but the celebrities, you know, they kind of flawed in my humble opinion. Brother Panic's first book is a must read as well. Yeah, I got that somewhere. It might be at the bookstore. But in his book, he breaks down the tropes that they use, the stereotypes that they use and whatnot. Dr. Wesley Muhammad's latest book is also a must read. Dr. Wesley Muhammad's latest book on hip hop is definitely a must read. I promise you, because he's going in. He's giving you the receipts. His research, Whitney Webb is researching Dr. Wesley Muhammad, just to give you the level of research that the brother's coming with. He has a machine behind him. I'm sure they have a research team over there at the NOI and whatnot. And he's producing some of his best work. You know what I mean? He's a KTL alumni. So we seen him when he first started out. Shout out to him and what he's doing. You feel me? And also tonight we're gonna talk about the brother from Ohio, right? I believe it was, where was it at in Ohio? Was it Cincinnati? Where the brother uh stood up for his slain child and committing and went ahead and did an eye for an eye, you know. Let me pull his story up. Friend, we gotta talk about him because man, this story right here is gaining a lot of attention and rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. Rodney Hinton Jr. We need to know his Cash App right now. Okay? We need his Cash App right now. There's a European woman, a Peckerwood, right? Who she's raising, she literally raised more money than Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player. Carmelo Anthony is the young lad who had to defend himself from a rambunctious Peckerwood, right? And you know, he got a GoFundMe popping. They try to take it down. They was raising all of this fuss. You know, these white fragilicists, these vampires. You know what I'm talking about? The hates is what they called them in the movie Sinners. The hates, right? And they were possessed as well, just not at the level of what the vampires were possessed. The vampires will basically kill you, and you were basically like a zombie, right? Similar to these niggas walking around, right? Walking dead, okay? Because it's real. There's walking dead amongst us, and we talked about it before. I feel that in 2020, some type of portal opened up and mad Walking Dead niggas popped up. You know what I mean? To the point they're calling it mental health issues. No, it's some people with mental health issues, granted, but it's a lot of Walking Dead out here. You know what I'm talking about? It's a lot of Walking Dead in these streets. That's why the crimes have become so heinous, right? These niggas are possessed. You understand? They have demons in them. They've been taken over. Their auras were fractured, and some type of entities have attached themselves to these niggas. You know what I'm saying? And these buffoon ass women, you know what I mean? Putting children in ovens and all kind of, I mean, some of the most demonic shit that I've ever witnessed in my 49 years. And this is before the Jabberwocky. Then the Jabberwocky just kind of made it worse. Okay, the Haints. They're the Haints, right? You have the vampires and you have the Haints, and their affliction is hate, right? So these are the people that we deal with every day. You feel me? These are the people that individuals such as myself, we give a lot of quote unquote energy to. You know what I'm saying? But not the energy of support and not even the energy of attention, because we're not sitting around fantasizing and romanticizing these people. We are demystifying them. You know what I mean? They say study your enemy and whatnot. We're showing empirical proof. You know what I mean? Outside of everybody with their DEI mind state and shit like that, with it, and we all get along, and you know, I get it. But it is what it is. Until something changes in this country, there can never be peace. Globally, you see the marches going on for Ibrahim Traore. And what are these marchers dealing with? these marches are more about people being fed up with these imperialists and these colonizers more so than them showing, like, they're going to show support to Ibrahim, but it's because people are tired. It's because people understand what they're looking at. It's because melanated people are like, how long are we going to go through this shit? Like, this new generation is like, fuck that. We're not sitting back watching you people rob us, lie to us, gaslight us. You feel me? Fetishize us. So there's a pushback. And at the end of the day, you know, people is in wild denial. It's gonna pop off before the 4 years is up. And if this goddamn if 47, if you know, what's his name? Donald Trump gets a second term and he's allowed to continue his reign of quote unquote authoritarianism, is really gonna fucking turn up. He just signed a bill that he's gonna militarize all of the police. What does that look like? That looks like Palantir taking over. That looks like tanks instead of motherfucking patrol cars. That looks like RoboCop. That looks like AI and drones and motherfucking robots using facial recognition, biometrics, and all kind of crazy shit. And then the popo running down and gunning down and lighting niggas up with no retribution. They're going to use this case of the brother mowing down the police officers, revenging his slain son. Let's get into the context of the quote unquote situation. This man lost his son, gunned down in cold blood. The popo pulled up in what is it, St. Louis? Or since where is this taking place? I believe it's the Lou. So they got a call. The popo pulled up. It's almost like a Tamir Rice type of situation. Not but 6 seconds, they gunned him down. Gunned this man's son down. He didn't take the route of, I'm gonna call up Benjamin Crump. I'm finna let these people feed off of my looch. I'm gonna get on TV and fucking apologize to the police that killed my son. I'm gonna get on TV and I'm a boo-hoo and I'm gonna let you niggas laugh at me. Nah, that's not what he did. We've been there before. We know what that looks like. We know what it sounds like. You know what I mean? He did what every father's supposed to do. I don't know about what every mother's supposed to do because I'm not a mother. You know what I'm saying? I know what fathers supposed to do. And I know that fathers have been dropping a fucking ball ever since their sons have been being massacred and assassinated and lynched for millions to see. There's only one way to respond to that. So after they murdered his son, the next day, he didn't even wait. The next day, my niggas, the next day, not months later, not months later, the next day. He was in the whip. Yes, in Cincinnati, right? They said Cincinnati is the city of seven hills. Cincinnati is one of the quote unquote Roman provinces. If you understand, if you know anything about the prophecies and whatnot, they said that the seven hills are going to burn. This is part of the prophecy of the Pope. You understand? This is after the prophecy of the Pope. They said after the prophet, because this whole thing about the last Pope and everything, right? They said that the seven hills, the city of seven hills was going to burn. So all eyes on Cincinnati, right? Because it's looking like a motherfucking powder keg. So the next day, he was in the whip and he saw a popo and he mowed him down. Right? Eye for an eye. What is that? The Harambe Code or something they call it? Right? Hey, You know what I mean? Everybody's fair game at the end of the day. You took my son from me on some, and then they gave him a lame excuse as to why, because the body cam came out. Police hop right out the car, start shooting. Yeah. And then them Pope packs is flying. Yeah, them you can't even hold on to them Pope packs, the premium op. But the interesting part was at his arraignment. They must have called in about four goddamn police precincts to stand there in the courtroom to intimidate him. And my dude stood tall. He wasn't intimidated. You know what I'm saying? He walked through that sea of blue and he parted that bitch like the Red Sea. And he stood there and he got his charge. You know what I'm talking about? And he kept it moving at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? To this day. You know what I mean? Take fucking notes. You know what I'm saying? We at war at the end of the day. You're not taking mines, and I'm gonna be out here praying and humming and smiling and beguiling and trying to get a GoFundMe and all of this dumbass shit. You know what I mean? I hope the motherfucking I hope that cycle comes to an end. The people that nobody, not them people, nobody from the colony of ants all the way up to the giants that are Sasquatch that's out there in the Adirondacks. Nobody respects a weak ass motherfucking people. You know what I mean? And any book that you read, going back to any biblical book, the Abrahamic religion, everything talked about the desecration and the annihilation of weak ass people. Okay, who cannot fucking defend themselves and don't stand for nothing. We cannot become those people because, God damn it, based off of the programming, you know what I mean, through the food, through the media, through the miseducation, that's definitely how they are training us. I remember we talked about it before. Niggas is domesticated. We not that silverback gorilla. You understand? So 100 primitive men from maybe Burkina Faso or where they have close proximity to the gorilla, they could do the gorilla dirty. But 100 domesticated niggas can't do nothing with a gorilla. They don't have enough primal energy in them. They're not primal enough. They can't, they're far removed. I'm talking, maybe they might beat up a gorilla from the zoo. Cause I'm in Atlanta. The gorillas in the zoo are kind of zesty. I'm just keep it a buck. You know what I'm talking about? They active. Don't get it fucked up. They got some active ones. They got a big ass gorilla colony. It's like 20 of them. They got the baby one. They got the little YN gorillas all the way up to the big boys. And I saw a zesty gorilla in there. I'm just keeping it a buck. But the domesticated, and even they be in there scrapping and they play fighting and everything. 100 domesticated niggas cannot kill a little gorilla. What you gonna kill it with? What? Because you gotta have to kill it with a punch. What punch? Right? Because either you gonna choke them, sleep them, and everything. What punch? What? I done seen niggas hitting the punching bag. Who got the punch that's gonna knock out a gorilla? I seen somebody knock a horse out and blazing saddles and whatnot. Who finna knock out a gorilla? Mike Tyson, I don't know if he could knock a gorilla out. I need to see it if it's true. You know what I'm saying? I need to see if he could knock a gorilla out, by all means, nigga, do it. Because I need to see it in this lifetime. But the same way that they have Africans that they go out for their rites of passage and they kill lions, right? They obviously have been they've passing down. They don't have the same type of epigenetics that some of the people who were tortured and put into a state of perpetual fear by seeing their ancestors torn to pieces and whatnot by dogs or pulled in four directions by horses and whatnot. Maybe they don't have that type of epigenetics. Who knows? You know what I mean? Africa has been colonized. They did tame them to a degree. But you do have people out in Africa who live in the bush and whatnot, and they're not tamed. And they be taking down big animals. You feel me? They take down some big ass animals and whatnot. So maybe them, I don't know. But the domesticated Negro, they in trouble. You might have to get, you might gotta get some blood in your mouth. You might have to get a little more primal, my niggas, because it's a war going on outside. Like, if they do something to Ibrahim Traore, then what? Because I seen the march and everything, and I was like, y'all should turn up right now. Niggas was mad deep. I don't know. I think it was in London. I was like, man, fuck it. Just y'all deep enough right now to make something happen. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't, fuck a riot. It ain't even, they wouldn't even call it a riot. You know what I'm saying? You know, if so many people come together, put $5 in a pot, or everybody to show up, put $5 in a collective pot, and then make that $10 million Ibrahim's death insurance. You know what I mean? Niggas need death insurance. All of that. I'm gonna kill for you. No, you not. The fuck? I ain't falling for that. You niggas let Malcolm X killer walk around. I'm not falling for it. You not gonna, that's called flattery. I'm gonna kill for you. Facts. Niggas, flattery. You know what I'm talking about? And flattery is a battery. And I'm a Tesla. We don't do batteries. We don't do batteries. We do solar charge. Flattery is a worn out battery. That's niggas gassing you up. We not going for flattery. I could give a fuck about all of the flattery. Keep that shit to yourself. Death insurance. I got $10 million on my head that if anybody fucks with me and takes me up out of here prematurely, whoever avenges that, you get the 10 million. Straight like that. That's how we gotta play this shit. You know what I mean? I don't see any other way. You're gonna have to, like Ibrahim Traore 3 weeks ago, he was known, he was lit. People on the continent knew about him, but now you see the problem that they did. You see how they put their foot in the European. They're so desperate. They're so scary. They have their backs against the wall so much. They made him a superstar overnight. This nigga's ringing. You know what I mean? In places where people have revolutionary spirits. I ain't talking about where niggas have broken wrists and everything, and they out there twitching and whatnot. They'll never probably hear about Ibrahim. They probably will never hear about an Ibrahim nor understand who the fuck he is. But in places where the shatas and people who stand on business and could see a strong man and respect them, Jamaica, you know what I mean? There was people in New York going up. They was in Times Square, mad deep. The Naya Bingis and the Rastafarians and people who have a record for fighting Babylon. That's who I could depend on. I don't know about everybody else because they don't got no records. There's no receipts of you niggas putting in no pain like that. You know what I'm saying? So I can't speak on nobody who I haven't necessarily, if you come from a bloodline of people that put in pain against the enemy and we know who the enemy is, then I tilt my hat to you. Whoever the descendants of the people of the Seminoles are, them niggas that are walking around Florida with the wicks and everything and the gold teeth tatted up, I fucks with them. Zopound niggas, I know where they come from. I know where their heart is at. I know what they're capable of. People like that, they are witnessing and they are paying attention. They probably knew about Ibrahim, but a new group of people now know about Ibrahim and they're going to cover him with a lot of energy and a lot of cloaking. And you best believe they over there doing that magic. They doing that magic. Feel me? They doing that magic. They try to knock him off at least 20 times and whatnot. They doing that magic. Don't ever think that he's not covered by he's a Muslim leader. He's an Islamic Muslim leader. However, they have Sufism and they got high level magic too. Ibrahim Traore is, I don't think he's the reincarnation of Mansa Musa. He's the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara. He's Thomas Sankara. He's not Mansa Musa. He's the reincarnation of a Thomas Sankara, in my humble opinion. Shout out to Mansa Musa. I just don't see no Mansa Musa in the moves that he's making. I'm seeing he's doing the things that naturally should be done on it. He's doing what naturally should be done by every leader in Africa. He is the quote unquote torch. He's the one who is the he's writing the script of the prototype. There's a lot of dead leaders in Africa. I went through the list yesterday. You know what I mean? You got Nkura, you got Sankara, you got Kwame Ture. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people. Um, Gaddafi. You know, so he's a part of the Sahel Alliance. The Sahel Alliance. And that alliance basically have, come together. This is in the French part of Africa, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. All you niggas going to Ghana, no disrespect. Why y'all not going to Burkina Faso? What's all of this? I'm going to Ghana. I'm going to Ghana. I'm going to Nigeria so I could dance and probably meet Burna Boy. Why y'all revolutionary Pan-Africanists? Why y'all not in Burkina Faso? We was talking about this for like 3 years. Like, what the fuck? What the helly? I don't get it. You would think that if a nigga is like, yo, Stephen Biko, you would think if a nigga is like, yo, I don't want to be in Babylon. I want to be where black people is running shit and they're not they're not like licking the white man's fucking foot in Africa. Your ass will go where the revolution is taking place. But I ain't see nobody go live from Burkina Faso outside of motherfucking JT the bigger figure, a hood nigga. Why is a hood nigga in Burkina Faso and places where revolutionary is going on, but none of you niggas who claim revolutionary is there? Y'all in a vacation spot. You know what I'm saying? Ghana, that shit is like a resort. I'm confused. I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell? Are y'all scared or something? You niggas is intimidated? It should be legions of our people, legions of our people over there holding it down, adding on, rebel rousing. Where's all of these tough talking Pan Africans from back in the days at? Where the fuck are they at? You know what I'm talking about? Where's your mans in them at? Because this is their fucking calling and they not answering the phone. Where's the passport bros? Why you passport bro niggas didn't find your way to motherfucking Burkina Faso? Because that's where the real power is at. I don't know. I can't talk about nowhere else because they got videos of people complaining about other nations in Africa. Like, nah, I'd rather go to America and deal with these crackers in America because these niggas is over here tweaking. Tweaking. You know what I'm saying? Tweaking. They got Muslim, they got Islamic Africa, and they got Christianized Africa. How many people been to both? You know what I'm saying? And which one is better? Which one is more habitable? You know? Which one is more habitable? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the passport bros is in South Africa and Kenya chasing a dick. You know what I'm talking about? Chasing a nuts and whatnot. Oh, they got big asses in South Africa. I'm gonna go hit something. I was a little Zulu pussy. Man, if y'all niggas don't get off of my timeline, where the warriors at? You know what I'm talking about? Where the motherfucking warriors at? Where the shooters at? Where you bangers at? Yeah, JT the bigger figure was in Burkina Faso for years now, from years ago. He even came back a little discouraged and shit and then went back. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? We're gonna run this trap house and all of that. We're gonna get this thing up and running. You know, you gotta have patience out there. You gotta have patience out there. But if you come from any hood in America, then you could go to you could go anywhere around the world and be able to function. If you had to take cold showers in the motherfucking States, my nigga, you could go anywhere around the world and function. It's the people who too bougie that go out of town and go out the country and whatnot and start coming back acting all Hasidity and whatnot. They the ones that can't deal with it. When I go outside of America, I have the understanding that I am in Indiana Jones mode. It don't matter where the fuck I go. I'm automatically turning on Indiana Jones mode. I'm not going for comfort unless I'm going to somewhere like a Dubai. I'm not going out of the country to be comfortable. I'm going out there to explore. I'm going on a vision quest. I'm going to quote unquote reactivate certain dormant DNA. Like I'm going to do the work and I'm going to stir up some motherfucking trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because they need that. They need that. Okay, so JT, the bigger figure, is in Kenya. All right, cool. He was in Burkina Faso years. I was watching him online for years. You know? So the energy that we getting from the brother Ibrahim, I went on Brother Rich's channel and I say he's the most important leader in the world right now. Fuck just Africa. He's the most important leader in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because he's leading the way that leaders should lead. He's nationalizing his quote unquote assets, right? Or his natural resources. He's kicking out the motherfucking colonizer and the parasites. He's bringing his quote unquote, he's bringing resources to his people. He's taken over some of the gold mines. He did grant a license to Russia and I believe China. No, I think it was Russia to for one of the gold mines. And at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck because if you live on a land that somebody will look at that and be like, "Why?" Listen, nigga, either you live in abundance or you don't. Okay? Either you niggas is gonna claim that abundant shit or you're not. You're gonna be living in scarcity and you're gonna have a motherfucking scarcity mind state. Look, Russia, right? They done knocked off the leader of the Wagner group, so he got to do business with Putin himself. Listen, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's called strategy. You know what I'm talking about? You niggas could get some of this gold. Come on, y'all can get some of this gold. We're gonna put a time limit on it, but y'all get a little bit of this gold. We're gonna get some of these nukes and whatnot. We're gonna get some of these planes. We're gonna get some of these weapons. We're gonna get some of this intel, right? And it's gonna be a trade-off. I could get sent to El Salvador talking like this, but who cares? You know what I'm talking about? Because all of that Mansa Musa talk, that we're not even in that time to be talking Mansa Musa, my nigga. We got to talk revolution before we talk Mansa Musa. You know what I mean? Mansa Musa was running around with mad gold, just handing shit out and doing shit like that. That's not we not in that time, bro. We not in that time. We in a time to whereas we got to have a 100-year plan for the continent so we can make that not our backyard where we could go and exploit the people because they're not sharp, you know what I mean? Or we could go and, get some fucking cheap land and everything. We need the diaspora, we need the continent, the whole continent to literally be like how we was in Pangea. You know what I mean? We need this shit to connect. We need more bridges and whatnot. I am a global citizen. I am a navigator. I'm a traveling man, and I'm not in no goddamn lodge and whatnot. I'm an illustrious Moor who travels the seven seas. So I don't see borders. I don't see passports. I don't see visas. I don't see none of that. I go wherever the fuck I want to go. I'll get there however I get there. You know what I'm saying? That's on me. That ain't on you. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go wherever I want to go. And if it's paperwork that I gotta do, then I'll do it. If they don't, if I can't get through to the paperwork, I still get there. How about that? You know what I mean? That's called determination. And what I do know is that a lot of things need to take place globally over the next 100 years. We playing a long game. We playing a long game. Niggas can't see that far. We playing a long game. You feel me? 100 years it's going to take because we got to reprogram, we got to reinstitute new constitutions. We kind of got to get that religious shit up out of here. We got to graduate from it. And we have to remove what doesn't serve us. You know? You'd be surprised how quick shit can happen. But that whole movement of the Sahel Allegiance or the Sahel Alliance, it needs to spread through all of these bootlicking, coon-ass African leaders that need to be beheaded at this point. Fuck running them out of office. We need public hangings the way that they've been stepping on their own people and literally, fuck selling them out. They're committing slow holocaust on their people. You denying your people clean water? You denying them clean water? Listen, I was born in the Bronx, and that's why I intend on spending, that's where my body will go. I'm a global citizen, though. You know what I mean? Home is where the heart is. My home is where I was born. I'm a New Yorker for life. So wherever I go around the world, I'm always going to be coming home. You know what I mean? I might spend some time, a little extra time somewhere, but I'm always coming home. I'll never forget where I come from. You know? The YNs got to stop killing each other. The YNs need to be reprogrammed with a new mission. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if the YNs saw somebody hold up a gold bar and say, "Look, come and fight for us." They don't have nothing to live for. Unfortunately, it's a sad state of affairs and whatnot. But they're dying because they have a nihilistic approach. They have a nihilistic look on life. They don't even want to be here, most of them. You know what I'm talking about? They want to be with the homie that they killing for, the dead homies. They want to be with the dead homies. You know what I mean? That's some of their aspirations. They on pills and they on medication, and they're numbing themselves and whatnot because a lot of them hate it here. You know, so they need purpose. They need a new purpose. The only purpose that some of them have is avenging the death of a friend or a family member. That's not a purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good enough purpose, you know? So, once again, I pray that the energy and the movement and the mind state runs through Africa like the plague. And we get a soundtrack. We've been calling for some music. I think Burna Boy and them niggas is in the studio. But being that Troy went global this week or last week, he went global, right? He's now in conversation, you know what I mean? He's a phenomenon. Music is coming. The music is coming. Once the music comes from the Afrobeat artists, I think I'm not too familiar with all of them and whatnot, but the one who I feel could do the war song or has a war cry is Burna Boy. Y'all might be more familiar with the Afrobeat artist than I am, but Burna Boy and Tim's, if the girl Tim's, if she gets on her revolutionary Bob Marley type of, she don't even got to do nothing controversial. Just sing from your heart, sis. The fuck? The fuck? Like, just sing from the heart. Say some shit that's real from your heart. Y'all out here with no electricity, no water in some places. Y'all went through a lot of shit. Speak on it. You know what I mean? Where's the Afrobeat struggle rap? You know what I'm saying? You could listen to the Jamaicans, Skilla Bang and all of them. They giving you struggle. The Vibes Cartel. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna talk about gunman shit. They're gonna talk about boning some chicks, but they also gonna give you the struggle. Where's the struggle coming out of Africa? Where's the artists that represent that? Because y'all need a soundtrack that you could step to. That's how Bob Marley. Do you know that Bob Marley sparked revolutions in Africa with his music? Do you know that Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and them had these motherfuckers lit in Africa and started the first wave of their independence? Do you know that? Do you know that was their soundtrack? They need a soundtrack. You know, they need a soundtrack. Even if you one of those Africans born in America, first generation, 1/16th little Africa ass niggas, where y'all at? You know what I'm talking about? Instead of trying to be drill rappers, we need y'all to make an anthem for your homeland. That is a must. You saw the movie Sinners. You know the power of the music. You know the power of the drum. You know the power of the war drum. You know the power of the lyrics, the power of the poetry, the power of the pen. Where y'all at? They need that. We need some music. You know what I mean? We gotta turn this shit into a ceremony. That way you could conjure up the warrior spirits and get this shit kicked off. Cause if they clip homie, it's gonna be a problem on the continent at this point. It's gonna be a problem on the continent if they clip homie because they trying to clip them. You know what I'm saying? If they clip them, you know, yeah, that song Zimbabwe from Bob Marley. That's my shit right there. Zimbabwe, you could your the hairs on my arms. I get goosebumps when I hear that shit. I wish I could play it right now, but you know about the censorship. Feel me? He tapped in. He was tapped in. Feel me? He was tapped in. He had them right. He had them turned up. We need more of that right now. We need more of that right now. You know? Them people are willing to go to war. They ready to step. China will provide them with all of the ammunition and everything. You know, Africa is the monkey in the middle. And I'm not being facetious and whatnot, but that's the battleground for World War III. It's unfortunate that they made Ibrahim Traore the martyr and they made him the chess piece. But if you look at what they're doing, if you understand how they're setting up the World War III Royal Rumble in your face, and Africa is where all of them will converge. They're not going to go to Russia to fight Russia. They're not going to go to China to fight China. They're going to go to Africa and they're all going to have their conflict right there. Even Is It Real is going to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? The Ukraine, and we showed it on the show, the Ukraine, right? They went ahead and killed off a whole bunch of Malian troops and whatnot. They already violated the same Ukraine that we were sending money to. This is the home of the Nazis, right? This is where the Nazis, this is the Khazarians and everything. They got kicked out of Mali because they were providing weapons and intelligence to the Tuaregs, right? Who they've deputized against the quote unquote Malian forces. So what the Western world has done, these proxy, yeah, it's going to be proxy wars on the continent. It's already proxy wars on the continent, but the same proxy wars. Remember, the Middle East was the grounds for proxy warfare. Iraq, then it really was Syria. Syria really showed you the proxy war, how they destroyed that whole fucking country, and Russia, America, and a whole bunch of other people. Iran was involved. All of these motherfuckers was playing on that battle or that theater and whatnot, and they used Syria as the stage, right? So what America has been doing, whenever you hear these jihadists like ISIS and all of these other groups and all of that, that's all America. That's all CIA. All of that is quote unquote CIA operations. Don't trust none of that. You know what I mean? Don't fall for none of the propaganda, the shit that they're giving you on the news. Go talk to somebody who was over there, boots on ground. They'll break it down to you what the fuck is going on in term. It can't be a G.I. Joe nigga though. It can't be one of these G.I. Joe niggas that's like the black general, the coon general that they made because it was the black man that set it off against Ibrahim. Who's fucking with that? Ibrahim been around for a long time. He been kicked the French out. They been had a revolution, 2023, I believe. But it was this 4-star general, bald-headed black nigga, looked like Candyman. It was the 4-star general who Pete Hegseth, right? The national security advisor, who's a war hawk. After they took away all of the, they stripped all of the black heroes from the website of like the Arlington Cemetery and the. Why are you saying red? Be careful. What the? Come on, man. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. After they said, after they destroyed the legacy of melanated people who died at war, right? How they gonna take them off of the website? How they gonna erase their contribution to America? Cut. That's what I'm not gonna say. Y'all get what y'all deserve that, but come on, fam. Come on, fam. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Like, what are we doing? So Trump comes in, he disrespects black people, he disrespects melanated warriors. You know what I mean? He's disrespecting the quote unquote legacy of people who literally died protecting America. This fake ass freedom that they were selling us, like how Remick in the movie Sinners, the Irish vampire, was trying to sell niggas freedom, a false sense of it, illusion of inclusion, a false sense of inclusion. That's what niggas in the army is having to deal with right now. A false sense of inclusion. You're not one of them. You're not, you're not invited to the quote unquote picnic. You know what I'm saying? You're not one of them. You're not G.I. Joe. You the hell. And that's what Donald Trump had no problem coming in and literally showing y'all, nigga, you the hell. You could get removed any minute. Don't get it fucked up. You are a Roman soldier. You don't have no skin in the game. How could you be melanated and become part of the armed forces and you know about the Devil's Punch Bowl, or you know about the troops that came home the Red Summer of 1919? How the fuck could you justify putting on some fatigues in the 2020s and you got legions of niggas who didn't get no fucking respect on when they came home from the army, from the armed services? Half of the crackheads is from the arms. Come on, man. Like, you just thought it wasn't, you thought that it wasn't gonna affect you. You thought that you was gonna be able to be a magical Negro, I see, right? But that's not the case. They disrespected and desecrated every single melanated person wearing some fatigues and whatnot when Donald Trump came into office, and they began to remove your contributions from the motherfucking websites and from the fucking the walls and from the monuments. They taking down monuments. They tucking in a lot of people. So after they disrespected and desecrated the memories of people, of martyrs, they went and said to the black chief of that, the bald-headed 4-star general, right? Yo, Dennis, take your scary ass somewhere else and stop spreading fear on my motherfucking chat, my nigga, or you will get removed. Straight like that. I'm not dealing with no scary niggas, my nigga. Tuck your motherfucking tail and grab your nuts, my nigga. We having a grown man conversation on a Sunday. You know what I'm talking about? On a Sunday. Come on, man. I can't operate in environments where it's levels of moistness like that. You know? Calm down, my nigga. The fuck? I'm prayed up. So when they brought the 4-star general back into the fold, because they was about to fire him, they was about to get his ass up out of here. They might have fired him. And when he came back, his first line of duty was to attack Ibrahim Traore. It was his testimony that literally got them saying, yeah, he's public enemy number one. And when you hear the nigga testimony, he was talking about, yeah, Ibrahim Traore is stealing from his people. He's taking money from the gold mines and he's pocketing it. Shut the fuck up. Everybody's doing that. He's not doing that. He's building schools and all type of shit for his people. If you want to put a gold bar in his pocket, nigga, eat. You know what I'm saying? Y'all pocket watching, you have the caucasity to pocket watch in Africa. Let's start pocket watching in Africa. Send the motherfucking researchers over there and let's talk about all of the people who are pocketing all of the money from them goddamn Africans. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have basic amenities. They don't even have basic amenities in this 20. We damn near got flying cars in China, my nigga, and they don't got basic amenities. Come on, man. So it needs to go down, you know? It needs to go down. Something has to change. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine how them people live comfortably with all of that fuck shit going on. You know? But what I do know is this. If you're under 30 and you live on the continent of Africa and you still on some coon shit, kissing the feet of these Europeans, in spite of what's taking place right now currently, yeah, you lost. You know what I'm saying? You are dangerous. You know, you're dangerous. So Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, you feel me? These are names that our people need to know. These are movies that should be made, documentaries and whatnot. We should keep their spirit alive. You feel me? We should build monuments for them and whatnot. Not we per se, the Africans, you know what I mean? Where they come from. But diasporically, it don't matter. Like, you know, shit, if you want to build something in your in your town, if you know what I mean, when we start getting our shit together and we want to name our towns and our cities, you know, I'll live in Sankaraville. I'll live in a cul-de-sac named the Sankara cul-de-sac or the motherfucking Lumumba Boulevard. But it's up and it's stuck. It's up and my spirit is telling me that it's up and it's stuck and it's gonna only escalate from here. It's not going back. You know what I mean? Strap in the motherfucking seatbelts. It's up and it's stuck. And the brother in Cincinnati, he got the right type of energy that our people who have been neutered and whatnot, they need to see that shit. You feel me? I need Benjamin Crump to never show his face and just have a fucking seat. No disrespect to him, but he's part of the neutering. All of you Boule niggas, man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be very hard for y'all to move around when the time comes. It's gonna be very hard for y'all to move around when the time comes. I promise you. You know what I'm talking about? I promise you. You know? Um, the most egregious thing that they have done to us in America and to the brothers and sisters in Africa is to assassinate their leaders because they have a way of killing the man and killing the plan. And when they kill these leaders, they wipe away the future for millions and millions of youth and unborn children. Do you understand what that means? They wipe away the future for millions of youth and unborn children, the ones who haven't even gotten here. When they murdered MLK, they affected the unborn in America and the motherfuckers that was born and it was sitting, you know what I mean? They disrupted, they arrested the development of melanated people in America when they knocked off Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Niggas have arrested development. We've been stifled ever since. Okay. Same thing took place in Africa. They arrested their development. That's why when you see somebody kicking out colonizers, niggas is like, oh, it's spooky. Yeah, nigga, because you got a slave mind state. You scary ass nigga. You know what I'm talking about? You scary ass nigga. You probably still see yourself as a slave as a result. So what do? They knocked the leaders off and they gave us roots. They knocked the leaders off and they gave us roots, right? Let me check. Let me go somewhere and show y'all some about roots that you might not know about. Shout out to Crumb TV because he went ahead and animated this clip that we got. I hope I don't get flagged for this shit. But y'all gotta see it. You know what I mean? We gotta know these things. This is like, this is like, this is information. This not even. This is like factual information. We brought the receipts. This ain't that other shit that they be on the internet doing. This ain't gossip, man. We ain't talking out the side of our ass. We got receipts. Roots was a CIA operation. Okay. It was a CIA operation. Okay. And he got sued in court. He plagiarized that shit from a white man, Roots. So they knock off the leaders, they neutralize black power movements, and they gave niggas roots and whatnot, and was like, this is who you are, this is slavery porn, this is where you are, this is where you come from, you know what I'm saying? And this is your fate. And a lot of people bought into that, they inherited that, they internalized that. And now our people's mentality and their mind state is similar to that of a quote unquote chattel slave from the 1600s while they living in the 2020s. Yeah, black exploitation. Mm-hmm. Black exploitation. You know what I mean? All of that type of shit. You know? So we kind of got a lot of work to do to reverse all of that. To turn that shit all the way around. Okay. And if not us, then who? You know, if not us, then who? So let me pull this video up about roots so we could just basically put our receipts out there and you know and let it be known. And let it be known. Thank you and welcome. Allow me to take this moment to express my gratitude for subscribing to Crumb TV. Your support means the. My guy, let me go ahead. Peace and love, family. Shout out to Crumb making that shit members only. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and join. Oh man. I'm not mad at you, my brother. We gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? F that. Man gotta do what he gotta do. You know? I'm about to do that shit too. Members only. Straight like that. We gotta do some tiers on this page. We gonna do members only. You feel me? For real. So we could start showing these lectures and other things on there. But let us pull up fuck Alex Haley. Oh, Alex Haley. I'm a member, Crump. I made you made me a member. I went ahead and copped that. So let me go ahead and share this and check out your boy Alex Haley and Roots. So we don't never have to have this conversation about this coon ass shit anymore. And Roots plagiarism changed American. Cause let's get right into y'all might not have been alive, but Roots literally changed everything in Black America. That's when these niggas started talking about they were slaves from Africa. Roots changed everything when it came out. I shit you not. The Roots documentary, the plagiarism. So Alex Haley and Roots plagiarism changed American Indian identity, right? There was a lot of uproar in the Black community around the times of the Roots TV series, one of the biggest TV series for Black people. Up until that time, we were not used to seeing so many of us on a television screen. They came out with this TV series. It was a smash hit, but it was being protested and boycotted by a lot of Black communities. A lot of people were in uproar because they was like, something is not right about this series. We not feeling it. Come to find out, the whole time, Alex Haley, who was riding off of the success of the Malcolm X documentary, the autobiography of Malcolm X, in which he was also accused of plagiarizing and also accused of lying because Malcolm X wasn't alive to say, yeah, I told him all of this stuff. Wow. He went ahead and rode the success of Malcolm X and everything. And of course, when Malcolm X documentary came out, the thing that Malcolm X was pushing was we was African and we was Muslims. Okay. So he rode that and he came out with this Roots documentary, and then he got slammed by a European who had a book called The African. We got socially engineered in the late 70s. Okay. In 1977, Corlander filed a suit in federal district court in New York charging that defendant Haley had access to and substantially copied from The African. The material he copied constituted the framework, life, and substance of Roots. So he says without The African, Roots would have been a very different and less successful novel. And indeed, it is doubtful that Mr. Haley could have written Roots without The African. Mr. Haley copied the language, the thoughts, the attitudes, the incidents, the situations, the plot, and the character. Haley denied seeing The African before he wrote Roots. In his answer to an interrogation question, Haley stated, "Neither I nor any person acting on my behalf or in cooperation with me has read the work The African, but I intend to read it in the near future." Right? A nice little boule answer that they'll give in their interrogations. On direct examination during the trial, Haley under oath was asked, "Had you ever read the book The African prior to the publication of Roots?" He answered, "For educational purposes only, for educational purposes only, for educational personal. The information provided in or through this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and solely as a self-help tool for your own use." I had not. However, after the trial, in a sworn affidavit by Joseph Brucock, a teacher of Black literature at Skidmore College, Mr. Brucock states, during either 1970 or 1971, Alex Haley came to Skidmore to lecture on the research he had been doing for a book, which was at that time to be called Before This Anger. I went to his lecture, and after the conclusion of the lecture, spent some time in conversation with Mr. Haley at a reception following his talk. During our conversation at the reception, I mentioned the book The African to him, and he seemed very interested. I drove 3 miles back home, obtained my copy, and brought it back to the reception. I then read several sections of The African to Mr. Haley, and after having pointed out some parts I thought especially good in the book, I gave my own personal copy of The African to Mr. Haley. Mr. Haley thanked me for giving him my copy of The African and said he would find it very useful. So, how many passages from The African appeared in Roots? Plaintiffs charged that more than 80 passages in Roots had their origins in The African. Plaintiffs stated, in addition to copying the language and the expressions from The African, Haley copied attitude, reaction, situation, storyline, plot, and characters.
Fiddler? Fiddler.
So you mean to tell me that Fiddler is not real? Kissy?
Kizzy.
Well, like you and me, George.
Chicken George? They were making so much money on his book. The TV company was invested, the book people were invested, the publisher. So they were like, listen, we're not going to acknowledge this lawsuit. So they decided to just cut the check and then bury it and whatnot. What did expert witness Michael Wood, professor of English, Columbia University, say about the copyings in his expert's report? He said the evidence of copying from the African in both the novel and the television dramatization of Roots is clear and irrefutable. Roots takes from the African phrases, situations, ideas, aspects of style, and of plot. But more important still, Roots finds in the African essential elements for its depiction of such things as a slave's thoughts of escape, the psychology of an old slave, the habits of mind of the hero, and the whole sense of life on the infamous slave ship. Such things are the life of a novel. And when they appear in Roots, they are the life of someone else's novel. After 5 weeks of testimony, on the day the final arguments were to be made, this statement was issued. The suit has been amicably settled out of court. Alex Haley acknowledges and regrets that various materials from the African by Harold Corlander found their way into his books. Roots. How does something find their way into your book, bro? Alex Haley lost a $650,000 lawsuit. What did Judge Ward say after the trial? Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public.
This is from latebloomer.com. Alex Haley, his inspiring journey from college dropout.
Right, he's Kanye, before Kanye.
Haley parlayed this military experience into a civilian career. He was on Coast Guard. He started.
Haley is the police. Okay? Alex Haley was the police. Okay? Working with them people. So it goes, you know what I mean? Like, Black people's whole identity is a fucking farce. Because you got to ask your grandparents or your great-grandparents. Don't take my word on it. The Roots, that it changed everything. The Roots series changed everything, and it kicked off this whole, you know, I'm from the continent. I'm going back to the continent. You know what I'm saying? We were slaves. We came on a ship, and you know what I mean? When you literally had people's grandmothers warning them and literally get the switch. We ain't no damn slaves. We weren't no fucking slaves. We not no. That was a lot of talk of grandmothers in the South. That wasn't our story. That ain't us. You know? So fuck Alex Haley. You know what I mean? And I'm standing on that. And fuck Roots too. And the Roots reboot and everything in that universe. It's all fiction, fake, and it did more damage than it helped you niggas in our community. How about that? You know what I mean? How about that? You don't want to get your fucking foot cut off like Kunta Kinte now and all kind of other shit. And niggas is running around like Toby. So, yeah, a lot of talk about not coming on a boat. That was a lot of people's grandmother's spiel. And hopefully their requests are respected by their goddamn children. You know what I mean? Because they were being disrespected back in those days where everybody was switching up on their grandparents and their ancestors. They were switching up on them. And when you do that, you desecrate your whole legacy and you disrespect your mother and your father. You know? So with that being said, I'm gonna land my plane. You know, I'm gonna land my plane, and I'm definitely going to see y'all tomorrow on Melanin Monday. We're gonna continue these conversations. We're gonna continue to explore the upcoming events, right? May 31st for all of my Patreons and all of my quote unquote ticket holders. You know what I mean? Those who will buy tickets. We are bringing Dr. Wesley Muhammad to Patreon via Zoom. This is going to be a classic. This is going to be heavily researched. We will definitely have the good brother as a guest so you could get a sample of him before you actually go ahead and get the full meal and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You get some hors d'oeuvres. But yeah, the replay for Saints and Sinners is available right now on ktlusuniversity.com. Okay? ktlusuniversity.com. Real quick, let me see. This is some of the slides from last night. You know what I'm saying? You know? And I livicated this whole lecture that I was doing to Dr. Phil Valentine and his monumental and his classic lecture entitled what? Vampires of Consciousness, right? The Vampires of Consciousness.
We've been gone a long time.
All right. That I could find, because it'll take me another 5 and light force. Story told.
If anybody ever saw Vampires of Consciousness, then you understand what he's breaking down. But the whole angle that I started out with is to literally show you, you know, what was being spoken of in the movie about vampirism, right? And about energy vampires and spiritual vampires. It is what Phil Valentine was talking about, the quote unquote vampires of consciousness. It is Babylon, it is the Vatican, it is the Holy See. It's also Islam and all of the Abrahamic religions and whatnot. That's what we are looking at. That's what we're identifying as parasitical and whatnot. That's what we're identifying as quote unquote parasites, right? So the term vampires of consciousness, he broke it down into 6 characteristics. They take possession of the host, right? In the movie Sinners, right? The vampires will take possession of the host. The soul will get trapped in the body, and the body will get taken over by the spirit of the vampire, right? And the soul will not be able to cross over, and it will be trapped in the body, similar to the movie with Bruce Willis called what? I See Dead People. Sixth Sense. Remember that? Remember Sixth Sense, where they were showing you that people are literally walking on this quote unquote in this physical world and they are trapped. They're not able to cross over. Henceforth, while Brother Panic did the videos where he was preparing people to die and not come back and whatnot, right? Because people are literally trapped here. Okay. And when these vampires get you in certain type of situations, they're out here trapping niggas in this prison planet called the Earth, or this plane of existence. And you don't want to be here. Especially when you find out what's on the other side. Your ass will fucking cry. That's why the babies come here crying and tweaking. And you have people who make their transitions with Kool-Aid smiles on their face. With Kool-Aid smiles on their face. So one of the traits is they take possession of the host. They do not possess their own consciousness, but must draw from the host. Their consciousness is characterized as being beautiful, mysterious, alluring, and powerful. They suck on the life stream of the host, depleting the life and the light force until the host no longer knows who they are. Do you know people who's possessed by the church? Do you know people who's possessed by white Jesus? Do you know people who's possessed by Allah and you don't know who they are? After a while, they begin to lose their identity and they become zealots and whatnot. They attach to the egregor. and the egregor takes you over. Do you know people in corporate America who become corporate employees and whatnot, and they switch up on niggas and they change and they turn into these quote unquote unrecognizable figures? Question? You know? Shit like that is happening. You know? What up, Sharif? The host loses their sense of self, perceiving the world and reality not from self-knowledge, but from a perception of knowledge given to them by the vampire. In a related concept, Dr. Valentine also discusses looch, which is released when a trauma hits. How many of us are releasing looch to our quote-unquote succubus or the attachments that are attached to us? How many of us are releasing looch to the Israelis and the Zionists? How many of us are releasing looch to the vampires when they give us the trauma, when they always give us this trauma shit? Shannon Sharp, this person is getting locked up. This person just got killed. You know what I mean? All of that is them feeding on your suffrage, feeding off of your fear. Like the nigga that was in the chat room, scared to death, probably pooped on himself. Scared because we was having a spicy conversation tonight. You know what I mean? My nigga, you can't, I don't, if you sign up for consciousness and you still living in fear, then you're not applying the tools that have been provided for you. You got to breathe, my nigga. You got to ground yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to meditate your way up out of whatever motherfucking shallow grave they got you in. Okay, Dennis, you right here, right? You scary as fuck, my nigga. And you need to breathe. You know what I'm talking about? You need to ground yourself. Do some push-ups on your motherfucking head, my nigga. Go upside down and do those type of push-ups. Get in warrior mode, because this shit is not a game. I'm, you know what I mean? We not on this channel talking about tweaking and twerking. You know what I'm saying? We in war times. We are in war times. You feel me? You said, I'm the only black person I know that didn't, in real life, that didn't take the COVID shot. Every family member except me took the shot. So what does that mean? You know, kudos to that. But what's your point, bro? You know what I'm talking about? So the looch is the life force that these people are feeding off of, right? So before I decide to go into some type of fear state so they could feed off of me, I'm going to decide to go the opposite and just, you know what I mean? I'm not going to release cortisol. I'm not going to be in the fear state. I'm not going to speak from a place of defeat, my niggas. I'm going to speak from a place of warriorship. I'm going to speak to a place of, I'm going to give them fire. That's the only thing that's going to burn through this bitch is fire right now. Fire and brimstones. I don't know what the fuck people thought this was and why. Like, I don't know what part of the movie you think this is, but this is the plot twist. It's time to, even if you get busy in your mind, my genius, even if you get busy in your mind, you don't got to get physically busy, but even if you get busy in your mind and your subconscious, this is that time. Remember that scene with Smoke was smoking the KKK? That's the time I'm on right now. This is that time. If you saw that scene and you still the same person, I don't know. I don't know, because that shit, that it turned something on in me. I was like, yeah, I could get with that. You know what I mean? I could get with that. I like seeing that on film. We need more films like that. You know, that's why even in back in the days with blaxploitation, they was killing white folk. You know what I'm saying? They was knocking off the mob. And I'm not saying white folk on some old just regular white folk. No, for my white people in the audience, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the white devils. Y'all so quick, y'all will identify what a fucking black devil is, but you know, you get fragility when you niggas say white devil. You know what a black devil is though, but you should know what a white devil is. I'm talking about those people who the mafia in the 70s was the white devil to black America because they brought us dope. They brought us heroin. They are vampires. They are the equivalent of the Haints, right? They fed off of us in our weakest state. The mob didn't have nothing to offer to Malcolm X. The mob didn't have anything to offer to motherfucking Elijah. They didn't have nothing to offer to Marcus Garvey. They had a lot to offer the niggas that's on heroin, though. They had a lot to offer the niggas that was buying some box. They had a lot to offer the people that was gambling. So they'll meet you where you're at. And you cannot out motherfucking devil a devil. So people have turned into what they despise the most. And that looks like a vampire to me. So we got to do some more vampire slaying. And I'm not going to go through this whole lecture because this shit is mad long. But we was going in. We was going in. Pope and them is doing drive-bys. These are ops. If you don't see it like I'm like Kendrick said, I cut my granny off if she don't see it like I see it. This is no time to play. This is no time to figure shit out. This is no time to even talk about things. Nigga, we got ops and they spinning the block. Nigga, they killed Ricky. Type shit. They killed Ricky. You know? How many people was witnessing melanated people crying when the Pope died? Or when the Queen died? This is not the Queen. This is a lizard bitch. You know what I mean? Niggas is out here boo-hooing it. Nigga, drive-bys. These is ops. And they got mad blood on their hands. I'm talking about our ancestors. They was in Africa chopping heads off. They was in America. They was in Australia. These are ops. They was in Jamaica. They was in Trinidad. They was all over this bitch doing our people dirty. They was in Costa Rica. They was in motherfucking Brazil. Huh? You niggas don't know who the ops are in 2025? Okay. We are just not the same. And I'm cool with that. But I'm cool with it, but I'm not feeling it. Type shit. So we are definitely smoking on premium op packs. They taught niggas how to smoke on an op pack. So now we got the biggest ops. You feel me? The biggest ops. These are the biggest buds that I've ever smoked in my life. These are like motherfucking these buds are pollinated, my nigga. These buds come out of the pollen season. It's some healthy ass buds, my nigga. We smoking on the ops. And there's many more of them to come. So this is the season I'm in. I'm in op season. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay,
I'm in op season. Where the rest of the ops? Look at the ops, right? Look at the ops. Big ops. You know what I'm saying? Big ops. You know? So we not making no excuses. We are not making any excuses. We standing on business. Like an ignorant YN right now. We standing on business. So that's what it is. Shout out to the brother who made his son proud. And he earned his a motherfucking ticket into heaven, right? By defending his slain son. There's nothing more holier than that. It's called a Saurian tale. It is a tale that's told all throughout history where the son avenges the father's death. Right? The Asaurian tale or the Asaurian myth. Heru, Asar, and Aset. Right? So shout out to that man. And I'm looking for his GoFundMe. I'm going to quote unquote donate. I'm going to invest in his legal defense. You know what I mean? And I'm going to make sure that his people is okay. That's something that I'm going to make sure I do. The same way that they had that, you know, the European, they had a white woman, a Peckerwood, who called a autistic 5-year-old a little nigga, right? Because he was playing around on the playground. And I speak about that often too. I speak about that often too. You know, that I be on the playground and it's like I'm at the zoo, I'm at the playground, I'm in these public spaces with these little children and whatnot. And it's like I'm noticing our children, they're just completely different than these other children. No disrespect to them, but they're completely different. The other two that's left is George Soros and Prince Charles. Prince Charles on his way out. You know, so this European woman already, this happened like 2 or 3 days ago. She has already surpassed the GoFundMe that Carmelo Anthony was raising. Carmelo Anthony got like 500 bands. She got like 580 bands. And her GoFundMe is for $1 million, right? $1 million. And she's saying, protect me and my son, because she called a black kid a nigga because the 5-year-old, she said that the 5-year-old stole from her or something, stole out of her bag. I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, you know, that's just giving you an idea of how these people are willing to, quote unquote, stand behind their people, whether they standing wrong and strong. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. There's a war going on outside. There's a culture war, and these people are fighting it. They're in full fight mode.
Yeah.
Like we deliver.
Let's break down this song. Let's talk about Sam.
Like I say, it's 6 hours. I don't want to get flagged and whatnot by the copyright people, because I got a lot of copyright material in this lecture. So we're going to exit the lecture. If you want to get the lecture, then you know where to get it from. The links is in the chat. Shout out to Copper Moon. Can y'all please give my my mods a salute? You know what I mean? Show them some love and whatnot, because they work hard, bro. They work hard. They be working. You know what I'm saying? They be working. So shout out to my moms. I respect y'all for real, for real. And with that being said, man, we up out of here. We will see you tomorrow, Melanin Monday. Peace, love, and light to the family. We don't have the intro song because we on Zoom, so it's a different type of setup. But yeah, you know, you good. Sing it in your head. Facts remix. There goes the Saint and Sinners replay. No, it's on KTL University. Let me drop that link for you, Copper. My bad. I should have told you. The replay is available on KTL University. You know. Also, like I mentioned earlier, Blue Pill has a video that he uploaded earlier. Hope Pablo, he was going in. I suggest y'all go and check that out. You know what I'm saying? And the brother was definitely touching on some things, you know, giving y'all that daily bread. So yeah, show the bro. Check it out when you get the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But here's the link for the replay before I get out of here. And you know, we'll go into more of that tomorrow. Damn, the chat going fast. But yeah, man, y'all get some sleep. Y'all get some rest. Y'all charge up your batteries. You know, y'all stay dangerous. Stand on business. You feel me? Don't allow nobody to, quote unquote, play with you in your face. You know what I'm talking about? Don't let nobody gaslight you. Don't let nobody, quote unquote, play with you. Don't let nobody try to sun you. Don't let nobody take your lunch money. And don't let nobody put you in perpetual slavery through contracts. That should be the motherfucking new constitution and the covenant moving forward. So with that being said, peace, love, and light.